Hi there, Flora here. Welcome to another episode of Jam Packed. Today, we're talking about what happens when a pharmaceutical researcher, a dating book, and AI collide. So, meet Suzy Debner, a Colorado based clinical trial lead who's been quietly shaping cancer research for over a decade, while also learning how to use AI to write, plan, and build a life she actually wants. In this candid and layered conversation, we explore her unexpected journey, her thoughts on feminine energy and relationships, and how she uses artificial intelligence not to replace her, but to reveal her. If you're someone who thrives in the in between, where science meets spirit and systems meet softness, this episode is your sign to lean on in.
Good. Okay, so this is fun because I know like nothing about you.
Okay.
And the last guest we had on was someone who I consider a dear friend, and we work together and we talk together every single day. And I've been able to interview a few people that I've like couldn't tell you what they do, right? And you're one of them. So that's always kind of fun. So let's just start off by telling a little bit about who you are and what you do, and we can go from there.
Yeah, awesome. So my name is Suzy Debner, and I live in Denver, Colorado. And for the past almost 13 years, I have been working in pharmaceutical research, running clinical trials at different hospitals all over the country, conducting cancer research studies.
Super cool. What is there a particular type of cancer that you study or?
Yeah, so my specialty for the past like probably 7 years has been hematology, or it's like cancers of the blood. And
Okay.
specifically multiple myeloma is the cancer that I've spent the majority of my career working on. And then I've worked in some other areas as well, but that's the primary one.
So it makes a lot of sense now that Jam connected us for lots of reasons, and I'm even more excited to connect. But my daughter is undergoing chemo right now for PCOS. She's doing great, and I'm I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So immediately, being in the AI space, when I hear you're in pharmaceutical research and I hear like you're using AI, to be honest with you, part of me is like, oh,
Yeah.
So talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about like what your day to day looks like, what your story brought you here, and then
Sure.
you dabble in AI. We can talk about that too. But talk to me
Yeah.
how you got here.
Yeah, so I know Robin personally. We met at a party at like a co-working space several years ago, and she was telling me about Jam Out at that time, and I just immediately joined because I have always been interested. I have a lot of just experience with like communications, and I've always been interested in like AI learning and those types of things since I've found out about them. And I've had some mentors that were like, you'd be really good at this, so you should look into this in the past. So I just signed up right away. And I originally was just using it for mostly, revisiting emails I've drafted to make sure that they're professional, helping me come up with like structured plans for different things that I'm working on, whether it's a personal project or, a work endeavor. I really have just used AI a lot to like help me organize my thoughts and brainstorm and then edit my writing. On the side, I'm also writing a book about dating, or maybe better yet, it's about feminine energy and using and leading with that in romantic relationships in today's society. And so, yeah, those were the first things I got into the Jam Out platform with. I've used the assistants, the 30 assistants and the inner circle. That's been super helpful for me, just to like learn about the capabilities of AI, and then also to just like kind of start creating my own AI assistants. So, yeah, so for work wise, like I said, it was mostly for helping me get organized, for drafting emails. And, in my space, there's a lot of technical language, and then also just a lot of different personalities that I am interacting with. And I know that you have to communicate differently with different people. And so the AI tools have been helpful in just making sure that my messages are tailored to their audience, even if it's the same content. If I'm sending that to, an oncologist versus a nurse, like it's going to be presented differently. So yeah, and then I've again used it for working on my book, just helping me get my thoughts organized, structuring, the flow of the content that I have already created, and then using it to edit and like brainstorm different ways that I want to say things. Yeah, and then most recently, I actually have moved out of my role that's more been operations based the past 13 years. And now I've actually been creating training materials for different roles within my organization. And so for probably the past 4 or 5 months, it's really been helping me again, like create the structure for my project to help me workshop and kind of brainstorm the best way to present information, and then creation of content, I guess.
No, I love that. I love that. Okay, I still have so many questions.
Yeah.
And I have to laugh at myself because I'm over here taking notes in my journal. Like those aren't going anywhere. I'm obviously going to have AI transcribe this and turn it into our title and our description and all the things. But I still have fun. What brought you to pharmaceutical research? Like what in your journey got you to where you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the real answer is this being recorded? Just kidding. So I actually don't have a background for this. And I'm actually one of the only people that I have ever met or heard of that did not come up through a certain pathway to get to the role that I've had for the past like 13 years. So I was recently graduated from college. I actually studied hospitality and event management, business management, and English. And then I was working as a manager at a hotel in my college town after I'd graduated, and I hated it. And one of my friends that I had kept in touch with, we met in second grade because we were in the same cabin at church camp. She reached out and was just like, "Hey, are you looking for a job?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so I ended up interviewing for just like a small local biotech startup company in my college town. And I interviewed really well. And then they hired me, and I just like shadowed someone with my job for almost a year before they like set me off on my own.
Wow.
So it's all about who you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, and that's so cool because, I mean, this is a terrible analogy, terrible comparison, but like, I don't know. I'm just going with it because I don't know how to stop myself. But you know the saying, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's like, it's almost like it's better to train someone completely than like have to retrain. You're not an old dog or anything on those, but that's really cool. And it's cool to see it. I mean, obviously, whoever hired you had an eye, and that is a whole skill set of its own. And they were able to really say in just a few times they talked to you, like, no, this person's a great fit. And that is a skill that not all people can really hold on to. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then tell us about your book.
Yeah, so my book has just been inspired by, being in the dating scene for like more than half my life at this point. And just, a very tumultuous series of dating experiences throughout my 20s. And I finally just came to some really like come to Jesus realization moments in my early 30s. And I just decided I needed to completely change my perspective and my approach. And I can really get into it if you'd like, but it all comes down to, for me, is like I feel like in today's society, like dating as a modern woman, it's the norm is this expectation that it's going to be 50-50, right? And the way that I've seen that play out in my own dating life and like listening to stories from my girlfriends and strangers on the internet, the common theme just seems to be that most people think that 50-50 means dollar for dollar. And that is how, and like tit for tat, right? Like I cooked dinner tonight, you have to cook dinner tomorrow night. But in reality, I believe that a dating relationship, well, money is not the only currency to start off with. And I think that, the natural polarity of masculine and feminine energies, we each have those within ourselves. And then obviously they're within the romantic relationship as well. And while I'm not suggesting that we need to revert to traditional gender norms per se, I do think that there needs to be like a shift in how we see things. I think that women have been tricked by the patriarch and capitalism and everyone to think, oh, I can do anything a man can do. And my response to that is like, aside from like actual physical exertion, right? I can probably do anything a man can do, but why would I want to is my question. And so
let's be, as a mom, the obvious to me, I'm like, they can't do everything we could do.
and that is exactly right, is that can I do anything a man can do? Pretty much. But a man absolutely cannot give himself a lot of the things that women are able to bring to a relationship based on our feminine energy and and those traits, right? And I think that if we look at a relationship, it does need to be people equally contributing, right? And that'll ebb and flow just like life does. Some days it might be 80-20. It's never going to be perfectly 50-50. But what I realized was it comes down to is that it needs to be two people with their own individual lives. You have your friends, your hobbies, your family, your job, whatever it is. And you need to have your own complete life, two people coming together to enjoy each other's company and also contribute positive things to each other's lives, right? And that right now in the current environment is being kind of like distorted because of this push for women to like be 50-50 and do anything a man can do. And in reality, if you look at the polarity of masculine and feminine energies, again, we all have to balance them within ourselves. And in romantic relationships, I think because women have been forced to be in our masculine energy more than what's natural, it's like I have to, stress out over work because I have to pay my bills, I have to pay taxes. Like I have to be on alert when I take a walk in my fancy neighborhood because I'm a girl, right? It's just like we're constantly in our masculine energy. And that's being like celebrated in a lot of ways that I don't think is necessarily healthy. And so if you look at it in a romantic relationship, if you are in your masculine energy and you're like doing all these things, well, then there's not room for the guy to be in his masculine energy. And so like one of you is going to take on the more feminine role. And unfortunately, what I see repeated over and over is that if you tell a guy that you want him to do something, but then he doesn't do it exactly when you think he should or how you think he should or whatever, and then you just do it instead, the lesson that he learns is I don't have to do it, right? So unless you are willing as a woman to like step back, and it doesn't mean like, again, like no, gender norms aside, it's just like if you want if you want a guy to step up, you need to get out of the way. And there's ways that you can do that while still maintaining your independence and your boss bitch status and like whatever, right? But so that is what my book is about just kind of helping call out some of these things that I keep seeing. It's mostly just me sharing the most embarrassing stories that I can come up with from my dating experiences and the lessons that I've learned about those.
How do you, it's so tricky. How has your experience been writing this book when gender has become so politicized?
Right. I definitely think there's going to be some pushback. And I already, with like a lot of my friends, they're like, oh, we could never do that, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I don't think that it's about like, I'm not teaching people like, oh, you should be in the kitchen, right? It's like if the guy is a really great cook and he loves that, then absolutely he should be the one that contributes the most like cooking. But again, it's just about balancing it and not making it about equality, but rather I would say equity.
That's cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. And in your role, I kind of want to come back to this because your book, it's very clear a passion of yours, right?
Yeah.
And when you're talking about how you got into your work, you're kind of like, yeah, I needed a job, and here I am. I'm apparently good at it all these years later.
Yeah.
Um, and sorry for the long-winded question. I guess I'm asking this because before our daughter was diagnosed in February, like leukemia and hematology and that was like so off my radar. I mean, we have like
Right.
a fruit farm in Panama, and like my kids eating microwaved food. So like
Cool.
that world was like not on my radar. And that said, I've obviously, as like a mom, I could probably speak about on like leukemia to a pretty, and I don't want to say I'm passionate about it, but to me, I have found this, like, I find it fascinating, right? And I my mom, and we live in Panama, so we're navigating all of this in this Panamanian public hospital, and that's a whole thing. And, my mom was like, I don't know how you keep it all together. And I'm like, well, what I'm learning is it's actually very black and white. Like, and of course there are, first of all, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm definitely no doctor. To me, I'm just interested, right? So I'm seeing all of these, like, sure, it's this. And from this, it can be here, 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 and here are some symptoms, and here are some things. And then, it to me, it does seem very black and white. So anyway, I share all of that because your book is clearly a passion of yours. Have you found a passion in hematology?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I will say that I had a lot of conversations with my girlfriends who, like, let's say one of them is a graphic designer, and she's always telling me, "You're so lucky that you didn't use like your hobby and passion to make your primary income," because she feels like now that she has to do her hobby and passion to make money and survive, it's like taking the fun out of it, right? And it kind of crushes her soul when she has to like deviate from what she would prefer for her clients' preferences.
Right.
And so in that sense, I do just look at my job as it's my job. And I don't like find my identity in it. However, I would say that anything that I put my mind to or like invest my time in, if I'm going to have my name on it, I want it to be of good quality. I want to put in like good effort. And also, it just feels good that I'm contributing to a meaningful cause and, making a difference in people's lives, even if it's just in super weird ways that, you mentioned, like, you didn't know anything about leukemia before this happened, right? Like when I got offered this job, this was so long ago. I probably had heard of a clinical trial, right? Maybe. I grew up in a very rural part of the Midwest, but I knew what a clinical trial was, but I had no idea that there was an entire industry about this, that there were, tens of thousands of jobs that were all just operating in this. And so there was the learning curve. And I think that that's where the AI tools can be really helpful just in researching things and like helping you understand what you don't know so that you can like fill in the gaps that you have. Yeah. And then go ahead.
Continue.
I was just going to say, and so that's always been like my passion for my job is like I'm helping people. And even though I didn't necessarily go to school for this, it fits my skill sets very well. And then I've also, since the very beginning, been really involved in training new hires and other employees. So I've been, I've been super fortunate to be able to travel all over the country with work paying for most of it, right? And then meeting lots of people, getting to contribute to something bigger than myself. And then I think I've found my niche in this new role. It's technically an internship right now since February, but just creating like global training content and managing like onboarding programs and just being able to like pour into people in that way that I feel very passionate about as well. Because I would say I'm definitely a lifelong learner, like they say.
Well, and it makes sense that you also are enjoying like writing this book and writing these training materials. And you're probably, and I don't want to make any assumptions, there's a chance in the back of your head you're like, why is Flora not talking to me about AI right now? And I want to touch on that because I think it is fully connected here. The reason I love doing these is because kind of going back to your point, there are so many different industries and so many different jobs and so many different roles and so many different day-to-days. And it's so much fun getting to explore our members' day-to-days and what their stories and what brought them. And some are like on par, and some are like, I didn't know what I was doing and I showed up and here I am. And and just really learning that. And naturally AI does become a part of that, right? Just because AI is kind of we're in it now, right? But at the end of the day, I love getting to talk to people and learning about their business and their passions and like what they're doing in their job, right? So I share that with you, but also I want to come back to me because I had this kind of like aha moment, going back to your book, right? And I've talked about this actually on a podcast. We have seen this, and everything ebbs and flows, right? And in my perspective, I have witnessed a shift, whether it's societal or on social media or whatever, where it was like, yes, boss bitch, yes. And now it's like, I saw something the other day that was like moss babe, instead of boss babe. And I'm like, yeah, I'm moss babe. Like, like slow and steady. But I share that with you because there is some alignment to what you mentioned about like, I'm not really here to like boss babe my way through work. I'm going to do it good because here I am like on this earth. And what you're talking about in your book, leading kind of with feminine energy, it's like, at the end of the day, like, I don't want a boss, and I don't want to put it word in your mouth, but it's like, there's this like, I don't want to boss babe my way into work. I want to like moss babe.
Yeah, exactly.
That connection though.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I think that really resonates with me because I think that's kind of where I drew the line. Like I had my like worst experience with the guy I was dating ever. And then also I was just like, this is so stressful. I don't want to have to like do all these things to impress people and be a boss babe. But am I one? Sure. But I also have all these other facets of me, right? And I think that's kind of where people, I feel like, get stuck, where it's like very black and white. If you're this, then you can't be that. And it's like, as women especially, we're encouraged from day one to be well-rounded and to like handle all these things. And I think, those are great points. So yeah, I feel really good about the work that I do, and I do my best, and I love using AI to like make it easier or enhance it. But then my real passion is just about like research and sharing knowledge, and the topics, vary when my life ebbs and flows. But it's
Very cool.
It's cool.
How do you see yourself expanding in AI more?
Yeah. So I think that once my book is ready to go to like market, I don't know what they call it, but to be published, I see myself using it a lot to like help me learn the ropes with marketing and, social media, like advertising it on those types of things. Ultimately, I would really like to start hosting workshops or retreats for women and maybe even couples. And so I use the AI assistance a lot just for brainstorming and again, like organizing my thoughts. I'm a writer, so I will just sit down and like type out a billion things and then have him like organize it for me. So that's helpful. And yeah, so just like kind of advancing my personal business ventures. Who knows what that will look like, but you guys have so many tools on there that I'm confident once I reach that stage, like it'll be a smooth sailing process, and a lot more so than if I didn't have those resources.
No, super cool. So the obvious question to me is, have you done the AI author challenge?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. And then, obviously there's KDP. And I also have to laugh a little bit that you called the AI him, because my AI is actually a boss babe and mine is a chick.
That's hilarious.
I think it's funny that you said that. Well, very cool. And, I love that your book is part of this like larger picture plan. And that's really, that'll be fun to follow. And that's fun to be a part of. And, so I guess just like people that have a thought and they want to do something with, and I always come back to this, right? Because the jam method is just start, automate, monetize, and I'm always on that just start part. That's my favorite. But kind of talk to people and let's say even let's like talk to women right now and just say like they have something in mind, they have a seed planted. What do you want to share with them, and how do they put that one foot in front of the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think that to your point, just start. Like I always joke, like my life motto is Nike's, just do it because I tend to overthink and I could just get stuck in analysis paralysis for forever because I have so many interests and like so many hobbies and things that I want to do, but we have to like focus and just do something, right? So, and I think that a good way to start is if you have like even just a small thought or an idea to just maybe sit down with an AI tool and start documenting that and talking about it with the AI. They'll be able to help you organize your thoughts and kind of get an idea of like a vision for what you want, and then also create an action plan. So that's something that I really appreciate about the tools is that it really does feel like my assistants interact like a collaborative partner, right? They're helping me brainstorm, they're helping me structure things, and also just they adapt to your style and preferences, and so they can be encouraging. And I think that just getting those thoughts down on paper or typing them out is going to be the very like best first step you can do with any kind of idea. And fortunately now it's like we used to just okay write about it and then figure it out yourself, but now you have this like world of knowledge and research and suggestions at the tip of your fingers, so it's cool.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
No, I love it. No, that's super cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know, please send us updates. Please let us know how we can help. And you know, I love that you said the analysis by paralysis by analysis, because I'm like, well, she's definitely in the right day job, because we want people doing research to be in that paralysis analysis.
Yes. Yeah. And when you express concern about AI in research, my field specifically, I would say, some projects I've also worked on the last few years, which I have not used AI specifically for, is that like, I think a lot of industries are moving towards more innovation and like just trying to take advantage of the innovative technology that's available to us. And so from a study research standpoint, that looks like we are using, we're building platforms that can help us like track trends and identify issues or like outliers way earlier than my job historically has been like you go to the hospital, you're like looking through paper records and like reporting on that. And now that it's like all kind of being digitized, we actually have like real time monitoring of things like safety events. And we're able to like identify, oh, this hospital really seems to struggle with this. Like, let's move in before it becomes a problem. So that's a big way that, I see it happening in the industry. And I'm hoping in the future that I will be able to kind of gear my career trajectory to get more involved in that kind of technical space. Yeah.
You have so many plans. I love it. And I know they're all going to work out for you.
Thank you. Yeah. So living on a fruit farm sounds great. I grew up on a pig farm, so I'd love that.
Well, okay, we don't live on the farm. We have the farm, and we realized we need our kids to do activities, and I need to go to yoga. So as much as we thought, like when we bought the farm 5 years ago, we were like, we're going to make that life happen.
Yes.
It didn't work out that way. And I'm really, really grateful to be able to go to a grocery store.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just got back from hot yoga, which is why I'm probably going to be this bright red for like 4 more hours.
Oh, wow.
And that makes sense. Like we had to drive like 45 miles to a grocery store growing up. So no, thank you.
No, it's, we have friends out here who do the homestead life, and like good for them. I like we've got fruits and vegetables in our yard here. But yeah, it was sometimes you have big plans and you pivot them, and that's okay too.
Change the goal or change the plan, not the goal. That's
Yes.
what my dad always says.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Well, Suzy, thank you so much for this. I'm sure it's gonna, I'm gonna have some things pop up. I'll send you follow-ups and just let us know, how we can continue supporting your journey in AI, both professionally and personally. And we'll see you around in the club.
Perfect. Thank you, Flora. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.